All right, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at how we react when celebrities pass away. And it's really a unique kind of grief, right?
Yeah.
And to help unpack it all, we're going to be using this article called How to Cope When Your Favorite Celebrity Passes Away.
Okay.
It was published on November 1st, 2024 by Sharif M. Awad. And it dives into some pretty interesting ideas about why we get so attached to celebrities in the first place.
Right.
And how these iconic celebrity couples can really leave their mark on our culture.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are really going to relate to this deep dive because we've all felt that pang of sadness.
Right.
You know, when we hear that a celebrity that we admire has died.
Yeah.
Even if we've never met them.
Right. And how is it that someone we don't even know personally can leave such a big hole?
Right.
The article kind of dives into this idea of parasocial relationships. Have you ever heard of those?
Absolutely. It's the idea that we can develop these one-sided relationships with people that we see on the media.
Okay.
You know, you spend hours watching their movies or listening to their music, absorbing their interviews. They're in your living room. They're on your headphones, you know.
Yeah.
They're basically in your life in a way. But it's all happening through a screen.
Right. So they become familiar to us in a way.
Yeah.
And then their work,
Yeah.
the stories they tell, those often resonate with our own experiences.
Yeah.
And that's what makes their passing feel even more personal.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Think about Robin Williams, who's mentioned in the article.
Okay.
He was a master storyteller. So many of us grew up with him, you know, as the funny dad in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
Or were inspired by him,
Yeah.
you know, as that passionate teacher in Dead Poets Society.
Yeah.
And when he passed away,
Yeah.
it felt like we were losing a piece of those cherished memories.
I know exactly what you mean. I still remember, like, watching Dead Poets Society in high school. And the article points out that the power of storytelling is a big part of all of this. These celebrities use their art to tap into these feelings and experiences we all share.
Exactly. And those feelings are amplified even more when it's a sudden, unexpected loss. You know, the article talks about how this year we lost James Earl Jones and Shannon Doherty.
Yeah.
You know, those were big losses for a lot of people.
Yeah.
The article also talks about Prince's death a few years back.
Yeah.
And there was such a huge outpouring of grief on social media after he died.
There was something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think social media really has changed how we grieve.
Right.
You're right. It's immediate. It's constant. Everyone's reactions are right there for you to see whether you want to or not.
It creates this echo chamber of grief, which can be comforting for some and really difficult for others.
Right.
It all comes down to how you process grief.
Yeah.
And if you need to step away for a bit.
For sure. Now, sometimes celebrities become these symbols of hope, or they even represent, you know, a specific community for a lot of people.
Right.
Take Chadwick Boseman, for example.
He's a perfect example.
Yeah.
The article talks about how he became so much more than just the actor playing Black Panther.
Right.
He became a real symbol of strength and resilience for so many people.
Yeah.
Especially within the Black community. His death was a huge loss for so many reasons.
It's like these figures carry a weight that goes way beyond the entertainment world. They inspire us. And when they're gone, it's more than just missing their work, you know?
I understand completely. And when a celebrity dies young, like Kobe Bryant or Amy Winehouse, there's this added layer of grief, like their story was cut short.
Yeah.
There's so much more to give.
The article calls that the what if and what could have been. And I think it hits the nail on the head.
Yeah, it really does make you think about how fragile life can be.
Yeah.
These people seem larger than life, and then suddenly they're gone.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder to appreciate what we have and make the most of every moment.
I completely agree. Speaking of larger-than-life figures, the article also dives into iconic celebrity couples and how they capture our imaginations. I think we all have those couples. We're kind of fascinated by it.
Of course, they become these cultural touchstones.
Right.
You know, these reference points for our own ideas about love and relationships.
Yeah.
They set trends, and they even influence how we view things like marriage.
The article uses Brangelina as an example.
Okay.
You know, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
Right.
Their relationship was huge EE.
Yeah.
People followed every detail. And when they broke up,
Right.
it was like the world stopped spinning for a minute there.
It shows just how invested we get in these pairings. Yep. It's almost like we're watching a real-life soap opera unfold.
Yeah.
With all its twists and turns.
And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that different celebrity couples embody these different relationship ideals that we might find ourselves drawn to.
Absolutely. We see it all, right? From power couples like Beyonce and Jay-Z who've weathered their share of storms and built this incredible empire together, to couples like Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, whose relationship was always in the headlines, full of drama and spectacle.
And each of those couples, they represent different ways of being together. Beyonce and Jay-Z, they project this image of strength and loyalty, of overcoming obstacles as a team. It's aspirational, you know?
It is. And then you have Kanye and Kim. Who were all about being over the top and constantly in the spotlight. Their relationship felt very public, very performative almost.
And then there are couples like Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson who have been together forever. And they seem so down to earth. They're a breath of fresh air in a world where it seems like so many celebrity couples flame out quickly.
I think a lot of people see them as a model of enduring love and stability. Something they might crave in their own lives. And of course, you can't forget those couples whose stories ended tragically, like Heath Ledger and Michelle Williams. Their relationship was short-lived, but there was this undeniable mystique about them that was amplified even more by Heath Ledger's death.
It's interesting, right? It's like we're looking at these couples and their relationships almost as case studies, trying to figure out what makes love work, what makes it last, what makes it fall apart.
Exactly. We project our own hopes and dreams onto these couples. And maybe even some of our anxieties about love and relationships.
So we've got those couples who are still together and in the public eye, but the article also brings up couples. Like Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton and Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love. These couples may be gone, but their love stories still have this hold on us.
It's true. Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, they were this whirlwind romance. Full of passion and drama. They married and divorced twice.
Wow.
Their story represents a bygone era of Hollywood glamour and excess. But it also speaks to these universal themes of love and desire and the challenges of being in a high-profile relationship where everyone's watching.
Their story makes you think about how fame can impact a relationship. Does it amplify the love or does it distort it? It's hard to say.
And then you have Kurt and Courtney, who were the epitome of 90s grunge angst. They represented a specific cultural moment, a time of rebellion and raw emotion. Their story unfortunately ended tragically. But their legacy as a couple continues to resonate with people. Maybe it's the music. Maybe it's the sense of longing and loss. I'm not sure.
I think there's a bit of a tragic element to a lot of these couples. Maybe that's what draws us in, you know? The idea that even the brightest stars can burn out.
It definitely adds a layer of intrigue. But I also think we're fascinated by these couples because at the end of the day, they're human too. They're flawed. They make mistakes. They experience love and loss just like the rest of us. And maybe seeing that play out on a larger stage makes us feel a little less alone in our own experiences.
Maybe it's a reminder that even those seemingly perfect people and those picture-perfect relationships, they're dealing with the same messy, complicated, wonderful thing we call love.
I think you've got it. We crave those stories, those connections. Because they reflect our own desires and struggles. We want to understand love, and sometimes watching these couples navigate it, even from afar, gives us a glimpse into its mysteries.
So we've talked about how deeply these celebrity deaths and relationships affect us, even though we don't know these stars personally. I want to ask you a question. What do you think it says about the power of storytelling and our basic human need for connection? I mean, we grieve for them, celebrate their triumphs,
Yeah.
We analyze their every move.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to how deeply we connect with stories.
Yeah.
And the people who tell them, these celebrities, they become characters in our own personal narratives, helping us make sense of the world and our place in it.
I love that. It's like they're these threads woven into the fabric of our lives, even if we never meet them face to face.
And those threads, they can be incredibly strong.
Yeah.
They connect us to memories, emotions, even entire eras.
Right.
It's powerful stuff.
It really is amazing how these celebrities, even the ones we've never met, can have such a profound impact on our lives. You know, we've been talking about how much their deaths affect us, how we get caught up in their relationships.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, doesn't it, about the kind of responsibility they have? I mean, they're shaping cultural narratives.
All right.
They're influencing how we see the world just by being in the public eye.
That's such a great point. And it's a question that's becoming more and more relevant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially now with social media, where everything they do, every tweet, every Instagram post becomes part of this larger narrative about who they are.
The article we've been looking at doesn't really get into that responsibility angle, but I think some of the examples it uses really highlight it.
Okay.
It talks about Angela Lansbury's passing.
Right.
For a lot of people, she wasn't just Jessica Fletcher solving mysteries on murder. She wrote, you know.
Yeah.
She represented this sense of comfort, like intelligence, a strong woman doing her thing.
It's a great example. Celebrities often become so much more than just actors or singers. They become these symbols of certain values or ideas.
Like Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That role meant so much to so many people.
Yeah, it went beyond just a superhero movie.
It did.
It was about representation.
Yeah.
About seeing yourself reflected in a powerful and positive way.
Absolutely. And when he died, it felt like more than just a sad event.
Right.
It was like a cultural loss.
Yeah, it made a lot of people realize just how much representation matters. You know, who we see on screen telling these stories makes a difference.
It absolutely does. It makes you ask, doesn't it? Do celebrities have a responsibility to be aware of that impact?
Right.
Should they be using their platform for more than just entertainment?
It's a tough question. On the one hand, you want artists to have the freedom to create and express themselves without feeling burdened by all these expectations. But they do hold a unique position. Their words and actions reach millions of people.
The article also touches on the lasting impact of those iconic celebrity couples.
Right.
Like Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston. Remember when they split up?
Oh, yeah.
It was everywhere.
It was like a major cultural moment.
It felt like it.
Yeah, it sparked all these conversations about marriage and relationships. And if the whole happily ever after thing was even realistic.
It made us question our own ideas about love and relationships, didn't it?
Yeah.
Which brings us right back to that question of responsibility.
Right.
Do these celebrity couples even unintentionally shape our understanding of what a relationship should look like?
I think it's hard to deny that they do. I mean, look at Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Right.
They've definitely had their ups and downs. But through it all, they've presented this united front.
Yeah.
They've built a life and a business together. They represent a certain kind of power couple that I think a lot of people admire. Then you have couples like Kanye and Kim, whose relationship was always so public, so full of drama and spectacle.
Right.
It was a very different model.
Yeah.
And it made you think about things like privacy and authenticity.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
How these different relationship models play out on such a huge stage. And it makes you wonder how much of that is influencing what we consider normal or even desirable in our own lives.
And it brings up a point that's so important.
Okay.
We need to think critically about what we're seeing and hearing. Don't just accept everything at face value. Form your own opinions about what a healthy, fulfilling relationship looks like for you.
That's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things I'm taking away from this deep dive is that celebrities are so much more than just faces on a screen.
Right.
They're storytellers. They're symbols.
Right.
And whether they intend to or not, they have this ripple effect on our culture.
Yeah.
Our values, even our own personal journeys.
It's so true, and it reminds us to be thoughtful about the narratives we're consuming. Yeah.
To celebrate the artists who inspire us, and to keep having these conversations about the impact of fame.
Right.
And what it means to have a healthy relationship.
Well, it's been a really insightful deep dive.
It has.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic to explore. Until then, keep those critical thinking caps on, and remember, the conversation continues.